I love the work. Okay, we're going to do something called the focus round, okay? So it's FOCUS, and we'll just go down letter by letter. So the first letter is F, which stands for fun, which we just talked about. You play pickleball, you travel, you're a family guy, and you like to work. Let's talk about opportunity, Steven. So what is one opportunity that's been a game changer for you in your career? So it could have been meeting someone, it could have been going to a conference, it could have been taking a job, not taking a job, college, et cetera, et cetera. Just one opportunity that when you look back on your career now, that one thing has been an opportunity that I appreciate and kind of propelled me forward.
Yeah, I always like to say the first thing that comes to my mind, there's a few things, but most importantly was getting into the space of selling properties via auction. I knew that I wanted to go into sales and I knew I wanted to go into commercial real estate. However, I didn't know what I was going to do in the realm of commercial real estate.
Why did you want to go into sales and real estate? Just because you knew?
I've been doing it my whole life. I'm a born and bred entrepreneur, sales guy. To the lemonade stand, selling cell phones unlocked on eBay back in the day. I've basically done it all. I was tinting windows for friends growing up. I was flipping cars in college. I've done a lot of different things.
Love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, that got me to where I am today. It's a lot of it's just innate. I didn't wake up one day and feel like this is what I want to do. Kind of just, this was the trajectory for me.
So the opportunity to get into the auction space specifically versus being just a traditional real estate broker.
Correct. Yeah, and when I joined the firm I'm at, I work at a company called Friedman Real Estate. I've been here for about 8 years, and it's owned, run, and operated by a family that I'm very close with. We're a very large boutique firm in Metro Detroit. We operate nationally. We've got about 50 brokers in-house, about 500 employees overall. But when I started, I knew that I was going to go into the brokerage side of the business. I had no idea what I was going to be doing in the brokerage side of the business. I started working as an analyst for a team that was selling properties via auction. And my managing director at the time approached me and said, you probably eventually want to go into this to be a salesperson yourself. And I was like, yeah, let's run with it. 6 months into the business, I went and, I was already getting my real estate license, but then I started just making my own phone calls, and the rest is kind of history.
Now with Friedman being there, did you get going on the auction side there at that company, or did you start before and then you got recruited?
I've only been, so I graduated at the University of Michigan in 2013. I took a real job in the consulting.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember. So online, you and I on LinkedIn, we got Harbaugh. So,
there you go.
Yeah, man.
There you go. Right, so I graduated in 2013. I should have gone into something sales related immediately. I ended up going into the consulting business, which was an amazing experience. I worked with an amazing group of guys. I got to live internationally. I knew that was not where I was going to remain. And so when I came back off of an international project, I actually was talking to my dad, and he's like, well, what do you want to do next? I had no idea. He said, well, maybe you should go into real estate. And about 3 months thereafter, I was living on my couch that I sublet my room to while I was international. I came back and I'm like, all right, I'm moving back to Detroit from Chicago, went into commercial real estate, and here we are talking now 8 years later.
Beautiful. So they said, hey, let's give this a go. Let's try it out. And then kind of tell me about that. So is that phone calls? Is that international phone calls? Did you start in your local market? Do you start nationally? Are you just calling banks? Are you calling asset management companies? Like, how are you guys sourcing? Like, what is different about being an auction broker versus a traditional broker?
Just historically, when someone thought of auction, it was a distressed property. It was selling it for a bank. It was what was going on in 08 through, call it 2013. I got into the business in 2016, and it was kind of the tail end of the great financial crisis in terms of the properties that were still needing to go through the cycle. So I started learning on behalf of working with other brokers in the office that were doing lender-specific business. I saw an opportunity where I said, this is a really good way of selling real estate for both a buyer and a seller's perspective. Why would we only do it on behalf of lenders? And I started identifying properties that would be a good fit to sell at auction. I started calling third-party owners of real estate And from there, about 50% of my business is now translated into selling for private clients on the auction platform, and the other 50% still selling for lenders, servicers, etc.
Oh, so you sort of pioneered a traditional approach mixed with the...
Correct. I would say that myself and a couple of competitors out there that were learning in this space started focusing on a larger pool of potential sellers that were not just your typical bank lender, asset manager type of situation, and called Jonathan Mitchell that owned.
Yeah, so you're essentially saying, hey, look, I have a platform, Mr. Seller, potential seller, that I can get your property sold. And have you ever thought about this? And here are the numbers. Let's look at it. And
that was my initial phone call, and that today, 8 years later, is still the exact same phone call.
love it. Okay, that's amazing, man.